Hey my friend, this is Nestor, you know me from the MakeMoneyFromHomeDad.com, and today I'm going to walk you through on how you can find your passion and how you can monetize the snot out of it. All right, it's a little bit play with words right there, but it's going to be in two parts. The first part, I'm going to walk you through on how you are going to be able to find your passion very quickly. You can find it very quickly as soon as today, and also a very quick way to monetize your passion, because I have found out that most passions don't have a way to monetize it, right? Unless you have like a career, right? Like your passion is to be a doctor, or to be a police officer or something like that, right? Because you're passionate about that. There's no other ways to be able to monetize, right? What about if you're like climbing mountains or something? It's very difficult to monetize, right? Travel, very difficult to monetize that. And so I'm going to show you a way to monetize any kind of type of passion. But first, you have to find out what you're passionate about, right? So I'm assuming that that if you're here, it's because you've been having a lot of trouble being able to find what you're really truly passionate about, all right? And you're not alone, because I used to be like that. I used to be very lost. I really didn't know what I was passionate about. Okay, when it came to what I wanted to do with my life, right? I knew that I wanted to be a stay-at-home dad. I knew that I wanted to be with my wife, and it's funny because back in the day, before I even knew what I really was passionate about, was that I always used to be like, when I found my wife, right, and when we got married, I was like, man, if they could only pay me to stay home here with you, right, I would totally do it, right? And so that was a big clue, right, about what I was passionate about. But back then I didn't know, right? I thought it was like it had to be like a career or something. And so I started my journey. I started to do a lot of stuff, and go to a lot of classes in college, right? Try to find what I was so passionate about. And so I felt like a kid in a candy store, because I truly saw everything in life as candy, right? I loved it. I wanted to try everything. I still do, but now I'm more focused. But I wanted to try everything, right? I took classes in photography, architecture, accounting. I mean, everything, right? And so as I was going through that, I was like, man, this is just taking too long. I don't know what I'm passionate about. It's like nothing really is calling to me. So this is what I want you to do. Okay, how the way that I finally found out what I was passionate about is because I was like, what about if instead of me trying to go out there and look for what I'm passionate about, what about if I sat down and wrote down what I hate to do, what I don't like to do? All right, this is much simpler, because you already know what you don't like to do and what you hate to do, right? There's certain things that you say, oh man, I don't want to do that. I hate to do that. Even if you haven't done it, that that's something that you don't want to do, right? So what I started to do is I was like, I hate having to leave my wife, right? And I hate having to leave my children, right? At the time, I didn't have children yet, but I was married and I knew that we were gonna have kids. So I was like, I hate to do that, right? I don't like to wake up to an alarm. I don't like the thought of having to ask permission for everything, right? Like in a job, like, hey boss, can I go to the bathroom? Hey boss, can I have the day off to spend it with my wife, right, in her birthday? And for them to say no, right? Because most of the time, sometimes they do say no, right? And I was like, man, it's like I don't want a job, and also I don't want a career, because even though I graduated with a bachelor's in psychology, I was like, I don't see myself being in having my own little office or something, having it as a career, right? I was like, I don't want this stuff. So I soon found out all the stuff that I didn't want to do. I was like, I don't want to do all these things, right? And as I was doing that, I found a book which is called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and a big old light bulb went in my head. I was like, wow, it's like entrepreneurship is a way, and to be able to follow my passion, because at this time, I was like, what? So I finally figured out that my passion was I wanted to be a stay-at-home dad. I finally say, that is not something that I just wanted or that I loved. It's like that is my passion. My passion is to take care of my family. My passion is to be there for them. My passion is to just 24 hours be, for them. I wanted to, just love my wife, love my kids, being able to just go out there and spend time with them, travel, experience life. That's one of the many reasons. That's one of the reasons why I got married so young, because I wanted to be able to start my life with my wife, as soon as I could, so I can spend and have experiences with her as soon as I could, and so my passion was my wife, right? I found out it was like a whole circle, right? It was there the whole time. So your passion is there. Your passion is there. But the reason that you haven't found out what it really is, because it's clutter in front of it. Because you're being kind of attracted to this and that and all this other stuff. So what you gotta do is sit down and figure out what the stuff that you don't like, right? Like with me, I didn't like the job and all this other stuff. But I wanted to be there for my family, for my kids, right? So, but I still needed a way to monetize it. Okay, so we're gonna start going into part 2 about how to monetize any kind of passion. And so when I found this book, right, when I found this book, I was like, wow, I'm gonna be able to monetize my passion, which was to stay at home, right? To be a stay-at-home dad, because I didn't want to just be a stay-at-home dad, right? Because at least in the United States, I don't know about the whole world, you need 2 incomes coming in order for you to be able to stay afloat, right? And so for me, just to be a stay-at-home dad, very difficult. My wife needed to have a real good job, right? But then at the same time, how am I gonna have her do something that she doesn't really want to do, right? So I wanted her to follow her passion at the same time, and in order for her to follow her own passion, I needed to be able to bring in money, right? And so I saw that entrepreneurship was the way, right? I was like, you know what, entrepreneurship is the way, entrepreneurship is the answer, and I just have to go out there and get it. So what happened is that I started to try different businesses, right? Because I was like, you know what, business is the way. I still hadn't found what I'm gonna talk to you about in the end of this video. And what ended up happening is that I ended up, working 70 to 80 hours a week in a restaurant that I bought, because I thought that was the answer. See, I thought that, I was thinking in the future, right? Because all these books were, saying, how, you have to sacrifice this, you have to sacrifice that, which you don't. You don't have to sacrifice anything. I'm gonna show you right now. I'm gonna talk to you through this right now. So I was thinking, okay, you know what? If I sacrifice a little bit of my time, a little bit of my family time to become my own boss, eventually I'm gonna have this bigger business that's gonna give me enough money to one day be able to stay at home, right? And so what ended up happening is that now I was working way more than I would have been working in a regular job, right? I was working 70, 80 hours a week sometimes, and it was just like, oh man. So not only was I missing my younger daughter's youth, right? My marriage was actually starting to crumble, because I wasn't there for her, right? I was at the restaurant all the time, right? I still remember, man, it always broke my heart, because my wife had to go over there and have lunch with me, go over there and take my daughter to me, right, when I was at the restaurant, right, so I can spend time with her. And even my family, when they would come over, my brothers and my aunts and uncles, they had to go out there. They had to go to a restaurant to see me. I was stuck in there. I was stuck in the restaurant there. Weekends, weekdays, every day I was there. And the only thing that kept me going was this feeling of like saying, you know what, one day it's all gonna work out. One day the restaurant's gonna provide enough money where I can have it running by itself, right? One day. But see, this one day, you don't have to deal with that. You can start doing it right now. You can start doing it right now. You can start living your passion and still monetizing it right now. Okay? So what happened is that I was like, you know what, man, I was like, you know what, this is not what I want. I gotta sit down, and because I found out that in business, it's again, there's too many choices, right? So one of the things is to find your passion is that you gotta eliminate, the choices, and the way you eliminate all the choices is by saying what you don't want. And again, I went back to it. I was like, I don't want. Why don't I want? And I was like, I don't want to step out of that door unless it's with my family, or unless it's because I really want to, right? Step out of the door of my house, right? I want to be able to, be here for them, all right? So I needed to, I had to find a way to monetize this, right? That's when I started to go and wrote down all that stuff that I didn't want to do. I was like, you know what? I still believe and I still know that entrepreneurship is the way. Entrepreneurship is the answer. But not all businesses are created equal, right? I knew that in order for me to stay home, I couldn't have a brick and mortar business that I needed to go. I couldn't have not even an office. I didn't even want an office out there, because that meant me having to step outside and go to an office, and then me having to create a schedule that I needed to be out there. So I was like, I don't want an office. I don't want a brick and mortar. I wanted to be here. I wanted to be truly from home, right? I didn't want an inventory, employees. I didn't want to deal with that stuff because that just took more time away from me, right? So the more time it took away from me, I knew that I didn't want to, right? And here's for my network marketing friends. All right, I tried that. I tried the network marketing. I was like, okay, it's a home-based business, right? But what I soon found out is that I needed to be on the phone all the time, doing three-way calls or prospecting, right? I needed to go out there and be prospecting total strangers, being away from my family, talking to total strangers just so I could get shut down, right? I needed to be doing home meetings on somebody else's home, right? Or having them come to my home, dragging them away when the dream is to stay home. Or I had to go hotel meetings, right? So this is for my network marketing friends, right? If you really truly want a home business, then is that a real true home business, right? And it really wasn't. All right. So I had to find out and find a system, a smart system that could eliminate all that stuff. All right. And that's exactly what I found. So this next step is I'm going to walk you through what you need to do to monetize any passion you have, even if you're in your network marketing right now, your company network marketing, how you can monetize that, all right, and live your passion, right, whatever that is. Because I already gave you the steps, right? The steps is by eliminating all the choices you have about what your passion could be, by finding out what you hate to do, what you don't like to do, right? So now, if you follow that instructions, now you know exactly what you really love to do, right? Because you eliminated all that stuff you hate to do. And now you know what you like to do, right? So if you hate to be out there and prospecting and calling, or be out there and having a job or something, then you know that what your passion is, right? Okay, so the way to monetize it is very simple. It's by using systems. By using systems is the way you're going to monetize it. And here's the instructions of what I want you to do to be able to monetize anything. Just a link on the bottom of this video, right? Where I want you to click on it. I want you to go and put your information in there so you can go ahead and watch this free video that's going to explain everything about how this simple system is. All right? And those are the instructions. That's the step-by-step. Go click on the link, put your information, watch the video, hold through, and follow it to a T. Because at the end, you're going to know how to monetize your passion, no matter what it is. All right, my friend? So I hope this video has helped you. If it does, go ahead and give me a comment, like it, share it. But with that, this is Nestor Endowment from the MakeMoneyFromHomeDad.com, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.